Hey Rebels, it's tough to introduce today's guest without telling you something you already know. So I'll just keep it short. Neal Hughes is a two-time Grey Cup champ who played 11 seasons with the Riders. He racked up some impressive stats, but what's most important to me, and I think to Rebellion and craft beer, he's a Saskatchewan boy. He was born in Regina and he has deep roots in our community. As you may know, Rebellion beer, shameless plug, we're going to be available at limited quantities at the Rider home games this year, and I can confirm it'll be served at select games this summer. So not every single one, but on June 6th, July 20th, and October 5th, you're going to be able to find Rebellion beer at the craft beer kiosk in cans. Neal, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. Yeah, the weather's starting to warm up, and the beer's going to start flowing a little more, and working on the yard and some barbecuing and
Getting thirsty,
you know. Yeah, so yeah, it's a good time to do this right now.
So are you a big barbecue guy?
Absolutely, yeah. I love barbecuing. This morning when I got up, I put some beef ribs on the smoker, and those will be ready hopefully when I get home from work.
Do you put any sauce or rub or anything?
Yeah,
or you just
I put a rub on night before and then wrapped it in some saran wrap just to kind of help it soak in the flavors and get the salt in there. So, you know, hopefully it turns out. You know, sometimes when you're not watching your barbecue all day, things tend to go wrong. So I hope I don't go back to some charcoal on the grill.
I'm a big fan of Butcher Boy and Park.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm getting beef ribs or something like that, hey guys, can you help me out? And they're pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. We got, actually for making our sausage this year, we got big cases of pork to mix our deer meat with from them, and that was excellent. And so I think we ended up making like 600 pounds of deer sausage.
Really?
We started at 9 in the morning, finished at like 3:34 in the morning, and it was a long day.
Do you divide it up amongst the guys?
Yeah.
How much do you take home at the end of the 600 pounds?
Well, there was 5 guys, so we split it all up. Yeah, there's no way I could have fit 600 pounds in my house. My wife wouldn't like that one.
You wake up, she's got like a knife in your chest and a sausage hitting you with it.
Yeah. That'd be a nightmare for sure.
So what are you up to now, post-Riders?
Right now I'm working in the medical field. I'm rep for a global company called ConMed, and they have stuff for shoulder repairs like rotator cuff repairs, ACLs. They sell cameras and power equipment, power drills, you name it. Anything that has to do with orthopedic surgery, our company has. And so I've been doing that for the last 4.5 years and really enjoying it. And I get to be in the operating rooms and help the nurses with some of the surgeries and help with our equipment if it's new. So it's good. I have a teaching degree, so it kind of fits with my background, teaching the nurses and staff how to use the equipment.
How do you fall into a job like that?
Well,
are you a previous customer, now a big fan?
Well, I'm definitely a customer. I still have plates and screws in my body. So, but there's a guy up in Saskatoon, Corey Toms is his name. He's the distributor for Saskatchewan for ConMed. I was looking for a guy a few years ago, and that just happened to be when I retired from the Riders. And he actually contacted some of my friends like Dan Farthing and Gene Makowsky, an old coach of mine from the Rams, Bernie Schmidt, and they just lied about me and said I was a good guy, and so I ended up having an interview and got the job. So, and it's been great. Yeah, I really enjoy it.
So do you still follow the Riders? Still follow football?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of neat seeing guys now like Jeremy O'Day, who's the GM, guys that I played with and became friends with. It's neat to see how it's kind of grown since I retired. Jeremy was always in the background, kind of the assistant GM when I played, and I always thought that he should maybe get that opportunity to be the guy, and it's pretty cool to see. So, since he's been the guy, I've been following it even more, just because you know the guy, and so yeah, it's been really neat watching. It took me a while, honestly. It took me like 2 years to be able to go to a game or to watch it, just because it's just tough to you go through like a mourning process of, you know, you played football for your entire life and all of a sudden you're not playing. So it's kind of weird. But I ended up filling that time with fishing and family, so that helped a lot, definitely. But yeah, I do follow them. Looking forward to this year to see what Craig Dickinson has in store for everybody. He's a great coach, and also played under him for a few years, and it's one of my favorite coaches to ever play for.
I remember reading an article about Olympians, and after the Olympics, they feel a sense of dislocation. They're like, what do I do now? Because their whole identity was going to the Olympics.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that definitely is something that crosses your mind. Before I had this opportunity with the medical field, I was working with the Red Cross and was doing some great things with the Red Cross. And it just, because it's a nonprofit, it just wasn't paying enough money for me to provide for my family the way I wanted to. So I had to make a switch. But, you know, if I didn't have those opportunities, it would have been really tough to transition out of football into the real world. So it was tough for the first couple of years after football, because as well, Olympic athletes will know too, that the training schedule and everything is now get it done. Everything has to be, you have set schedules. Things happen so quickly. For example, for football, you have to, in meetings in the morning, you get, 10 different plays for your next game, your next opponent. You got to learn those within like half an hour, get on the field, do them right, and practice them for the rest of the week. 10 plays, I guess, is being kind of generous. There's probably a lot more, actually. So, but in the real world, it's a little different because everything moves just a little bit slower. So you got to get used to that, and it's hard. That's the hardest part, I guess, of the transition for me, was getting used to how slow things move. Like, it's not a bad thing, but it's just a lot different than the pressure situation that you're in playing pro sports or in the Olympics. And I'll probably never get the same feeling that I had driving to the Grey Cup in 2013 in any other job. Like, it's just the adrenaline and the overwhelming emotions. I was crying before I got to the stadium just because I was like, holy cow, I made it. This is like a dream come true. And like stuff like that, I don't know that I'll get that through 9 to 5 or just a regular job. And that's something a lot of athletes do have to deal with. And I guess you just find things to fill those spaces. And fishing has been huge for me. Hanging out with my kids and my family, just helping them succeed in their activities and sports. That's kind of filled the gap for me. So, but there are a lot of guys that don't have that kind of perspective on things, and they obviously go down the wrong route or whatever. But so it's definitely been nice being a hometown boy, because there's lots of opportunity. And
let's be honest, the Riders are kind of like a religion here.
Oh yeah, like, absolutely.
You go to the game day to pray, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's,
you guys are kind of like the saints and disciples moving through banging up into the other team. You got to crush them, but I mean, it's part of the faithful.
Yeah, it's awesome. And being a kid growing up cheering for him was pretty surreal to be able to do that for 11 years, play for the team you grew up following and cheering for. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So do you have advice for other guys in the local community that maybe want to take a run at the CFL? Do you talk to them at all?
Yeah, I do, and I still coach some camps. There's a camp up in Humboldt that Kelly Bates puts on. He's an ex-CFL player, played Riders for a year, and it's a bunch of rural community kids from high schools come to this camp, and so I still try to give back in that respect. But nowadays it's like university football and high school football is a lot different than when I played. Because back then, like the opportunities for kids to like play football outside of the regular season is a lot different now. Like kids can now play football all year round if they wanted. And I don't know if I would have done that, but it's you see it in their development too. Like they're hitting the weights at a younger age. They're going to these like level 10s and all these training facilities to get better. So like they're already in a good spot. Like the guys that want to play are in a good spot. They have these opportunities and they have the means to do it. Then it greatly helps them. So it's interesting to see. And my little guy's 9. He started football last year, so.
Like doing flag football, or?
He's doing Mighty Mites. It's an RMF program for 8 and 9-year-olds. Mm-hmm. So it's a great program. And John Ryan actually is one of the big sponsors. Kids all get their own jerseys. They get to keep their jerseys, and that's pretty neat. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to helping him along and pass the torch.
Does he want to get into football hard, or is he just kind of following Dad's footsteps?
No, he loves football. I give him the option, like, do you want to play football or not? And, yep, I want to play football. Because at one point we had him in way too many activities. It was just too busy for him. And he'd get burnt out. Last year, I think there was something 7 days a week. We had boxing on Monday, baseball Tuesday, boxing Wednesday, baseball Thursday, Friday flag football, Saturday flag football, and then Sunday was off if we didn't have another flag game. So it was this last year. I said, Logan, you only got to pick one, like just one in the spring, and that's it. And he picked flag football. So gave him the choice, which I think is important. It's not any fun being forced to play a sport, and I was never forced. So yeah, you see some kids that are playing in a sport, but they're not really there, and wow, he's probably here because he was just put in it or forced to play it. But I don't want to put my kids in that position.
You don't want to be like that stage mom who's like, you got to be famous.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely opposite of what I think. If he came to me someday, or my daughter, and said they didn't want to do an activity, I would help them make a choice, and hopefully they stick to it. But it's in the end, you can't force them, because it's.
One of the things my wife and I were kind of debating with our kids is you can't do nothing. You have to do something.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do the something that I think you might like.
Yep.
But you can't just sit at home and be on YouTube for 8 hours a day.
Or Fortnite or whatever.
Fortnite, yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I was, speaking of Fortnite, sorry to change the subject, but when I was up at that Kelly Bates camp, I was rooming with Chris Getzlaff, and Scott McHenry was hanging out with us, and he's a big gamer. He loves playing Fortnite. And telling me how much money these Fortnite players make just made me want to throw up in my mouth. Like millions and millions and millions of dollars these guys make by making videos and playing a video game. And like, what the heck? Where am I living? What world am I on? I was saying, it's like, they were showing me some stuff, like how they had this live concert in a Fortnite game where it was live streamed, and everybody in this Fortnite world was just dancing around the stage on the video game. Like, what the heck? This is so weird. So,
it's further along in Korea in terms of eSports, but there are kids who will get a full ride scholarship to play video games like StarCraft.
That's unreal.
We're not quite there in Canada or North America, but in the States, they now have houses that are dedicated where teams can move in. They train like 8 hours a day just to win video games.
Wow.
And it's big bucks.
Yeah.
Like these guys are looking at $100,000 cash purse or up to $1 million for stuff like not Heroes of the Storm, Overwatch.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
From Blizzard.
Yeah.
Similar to Fortnite, where it's a first-person shooter.
Yep.
These Fortnite guys, like the top level tiers, they're making millions of dollars.
Yeah. I was like, what the heck? So I'm like torn. Do I send Logan outside to play basketball, which he'll never get tall enough to play pro, or do I let him play video games for another hour? I don't know. So no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, Scott McHenry was trying to convince me to pay him some money to give my son Fortnite lessons. Like, no, sorry, bud, it's not happening.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Speaking of different than football, let's talk about a little bit of beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today we've got Burnside Blood Orange Ale. It's from Medicine Hat Brewing Company. I haven't had it before, but I'm excited to try it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Smells like orange juice.
That's pretty good.
If I didn't know this was beer, I would confuse it for orange juice.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's sweeter than I thought. Sweeter too.
That's pretty good. Like, it's not overpowering. It's a smooth, sweet taste. It's not like a heavy, sweet.
That cloying.
Yeah, like you're drinking a sugar beer. It's
like a sourpuss.
Yeah, yeah. This one is nice. I don't see a heartburn coming after having a few of these.
No. At 4.5%, I can't imagine anyone getting too much in trouble. It's one of the funny things is they call it thirst quencher, and it's Brewmaster Mitch Dalrymple's mom's favorite.
Really?
It's just funny to me. It's the Brewmaster's mom's favorite. That's their
awesome.
recommendation on the can.
That's awesome. This would be good, speaking of barbecue, and if you use this like in a beer butt chicken, man, would that be delicious too.
You're right.
It's got that nice little citrus orangey flavor to it, and I usually stuff my chicken with an orange anyways. So
Yeah. Do you zest the orange and then put the orange in? Or?
I just wash it and then stab it, roll it, so get all the juices flowing in it, and yeah, that's good.
Would you recommend this to your buddies?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thumbs up on this one. I think Mitch did a great job.
Yep. Yeah, it's not overpowering, but it tastes like orange juice, which is, my wife would love that. In the sun or at the lake, sitting on the beach or the dock, this would be a perfect one to have, for sure. It's definitely a good summer beer.
I think it is probably their summer seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of their signature summer seasonals. Kudos to Medicine Hat Brewing. I'm a small town, but making really kick-ass beer.
Yeah, it's good.
So by the time this episode airs, we're probably going to have 2 games under our belt because we record ahead of time.
Yep.
Just the way the schedule works out.
Yep.
But what do you think the team's going to be doing this year?
Well, I think their defense is stacked. They got some big weapons on offense this year. Like Emmanuel Arsenault, he's still a pretty deadly player. We got Roosevelt back, and our O-line, if they can stay healthy and protect Zach, I think we'll be fine. Like, we were close last year with Zach when he was healthy and playing awesome. That's hopefully what we can see for the rest of the year. And you never know. Like, it's such a small league. Everybody is so close. Anybody can win on any given day. So
you're talking about the disparity in skill
between teams because of the salary cap, and it keeps teams even. So in the end, it really boils down to who stays the healthiest for the entire year. And Calgary's always done a good job of staying healthy. I don't know how they do it, but they seem to always stay healthy and never have injuries that take them down to last place, or they've just been such a great team. And I hate Calgary, I really do. But they're coached well. Dave Dickinson, a lot of respect for him. He's done an amazing job with that team. After Huffnagel left, he just kind of picked up where they left off, and I can't remember a losing season that Calgary had. I really can't. So if we can strive to make our own mark in that kind of fashion, stay healthy, win games, be the team that everybody hates, I think we'll be fine. Everybody usually hates the team that wins all the time, like the Patriots. I can't stand the Patriots, but you got to respect them because they're so damn good.
It's like this grudging respect.
It is. Yeah, for sure.
Paul and I will get into it on the Patriots. I'm like, they deflate the balls, bunch of cheaters.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So who do you think is someone to keep an eye on? Or is it so much of a team effort that it's hard to pick?
I think it'll boil down to being a huge team effort in order to be successful. That's just the way it's always worked. All the teams that I've played on that were successful and played as a team, and everybody did their jobs, worked hard. No humongous egos in the locker room that were distractions. And for the most part, we had a lot of good vets in the locker rooms that would kind of control it. So I think if the vets in the locker room can kind of, control the locker room a little bit, be good leaders, and I have no doubt that guys like Labatt and Clark will do that.
What does that mean? Like, from an outsider perspective, what does it mean to control the locker room?
Well, like if somebody's getting out of hand in the locker room, like they're not fitting in, maybe a vet will talk to them, or somebody will tell them, this is how it works, or Yeah, and for the most part, most of the teams that I've played on, guys have kind of stepped in line, and once everybody has that same goal to win, and not only just win games, but just to win outside of the games in practice and in life, and those teams that I've been a part of won Grey Cups. So you kind of know what it takes to get there and what it takes to win. So you want to see that happening. And the guys in the locker room now, there's guys that know what it takes to win. Well, hopefully they can all come together, and I know Craig will do a great job of bringing guys together.
Maybe you can confirm this for me, or maybe find an analogy, but I remember reading an article where Kobe Bryant and Shaq were having a disagreement. And Kobe was like, work. And Shaq was like, I'll bring it to the court when it's time.
Yeah.
So Kobe thought Shaq was a slacker, and Shaq thought Kobe was a prima donna.
Yeah.
And then what happened was they were in practice, and I guess Shaq stuffed Kobe, and his hands are massive.
Yeah.
And he just
monster.
Wailed on Kobe. And after a loss, Kobe kind of realized, oh, Shaq wants to win this as much as I do. His way to winning, his thought process is just different.
Absolutely.
And then they came together and they could play together.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. You don't have to act out of character in order to be on a winning team, but you have to kind of fall in line. Everybody has to have the same goal, and you have to reach that same goal by working hard, and just following the process that the coach puts in place. And that example of those two guys, they're both obviously doing their own thing, but upset at the other guy because they work way too hard, or he doesn't work hard enough. But in the end, they figured out, like, geez, they're both going at it their own way, and they both want to win. Once they figured out that, and they were both on the same path, and obviously they started winning games. But when you have one or two guys in the locker room that don't follow the same path, then it kind of, people butt heads, and there's arguments, and there's always going to be arguments in the locker room. But it's, you gotta all work towards the same goal, and don't let the distractions come into the locker room.
Did you ever have a moment where you could just tell what the other guy was thinking before he even said anything? You're on the field, you're like, I know he's going to do this, or he wants this, and I'm going to do X maybe he wants me to go right, so I'll go right. Or, do you ever have that moment in your mind?
Yeah, it's more of like a natural reaction or an instinct. You don't really think about it. You don't have time to think when you're out there. It's all just reaction. And all your practice planning and all your running against scout team defenses who are having the same mannerisms or schemes as the team you're playing, you just kind of ingrain it in your mind, and it becomes like a reaction. So if you're out there reacting, you tend to play well. But if you're out there thinking, it takes too long to think out there, so you're not going to be playing well. But that was a hard lesson to learn, definitely, when I first started playing, because I was thinking too much. And once you start, figuring it out, that just react, do all your thinking in practice, and then game time comes. You don't have a whole lot of time to think. Yeah.
In martial arts, they call it. I train Aikido.
Oh, nice.
We call it no mind.
Yep.
Where you can't be thinking, you have to be flowing.
That's exactly it. That's just another way to put it, for sure. Yeah. And when you stop thinking, you start playing. And I see it actually coaching my son and my daughter. You can tell when they're thinking too much out there, because they're like kind of unsure of themselves. They're not playing confidently, and when they stop thinking, they just play and have fun.
Stuck in their head. Is that what they mean when they say stuck in your head?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a good place. Definitely not.
One of the guys, I don't know if you remember him. His name was Nassim Mitchell.
Yep. I remember Nassim.
He actually came out and trained Aikido with us. So he would give us stories or insights into what was happening on the field. And my sensei's a huge Rider fan. Virgil just loves the Riders. Wears green, goes to the game, season ticket, that kind of thing. And so for him to get to teach Nassim some stuff to take onto the field was such a big deal to him.
Yep.
Oh, Nassim, man, like he's jacked.
He's huge.
He could toss me like 20 feet. I'd be like, your technique's great. You're just using too much muscle.
Yeah.
But man, was he just a treat to train with.
Yeah, he was a good dude. He was a great teammate. He was a D lineman, but I had to block him in practice and stuff, so it wasn't fun. But it's
because he'd be hitting you like a brick wall.
Well, yeah, and you kind of gain a little bit of respect for your teammates in practice. Like it's called kind of like just being a good vet, where you just kind of bump into each other and you each let each other win just a little bit, so that on film it looks like you're both doing the job. So you try your best to do that, and thankfully guys like him and John Chick were on the same page as me. Like, I don't want to run as hard as I can into you. That's the only way I can block you in a game, but let's just make it look good in practice. So yeah, it was good. Those guys probably could have just tossed me aside in practice if they wanted to, but
he ragdolled me a few times.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do.
No.
He's just powerful. So it was a treat to train with an athlete at that caliber.
Yeah, and you just see how hard guys work to get to where they are. And that's something that I hope a lot of the young guys look at. And, it's not just about going out on game day and playing. That's probably 2% of what you do as a football player is playing a game. The rest is practice and training and taking care of yourself 24/7. So,
what would be your favorite, memory to share with guys when you're drinking a beer? What do you circle back to and you're like, oh yeah, this was good?
There's so many great memories. The Grey Cup, obviously, in 2013 at home was the best.
Yeah.
Just
Green Mile.
Oh, it was unreal. Like,
how
my
long
favorite.
Did it come down from that one?
I'm still not when I think about it. My heart just started beating again, actually. So I think it'll do that forever. But my favorite part of that whole game was in the tunnel before the game, and we were all standing around, and they wanted to introduce us one at a time, and we're like, screw this. And Ricky Foley was one of the guys that said, we're all going out as a team, and we all agreed, and we're all sitting in the tunnel, and the TSN guy's sitting there, and he's trying to hold back Chris Best, and it's like, oh, good luck. So this guy's got his arm on Chris Best, and it looks like a little tree twig on him, and I'm just standing right beside Chris, like, oh, this is going to be bad. And so Chris starts walking through the tunnel closer. This guy's trying to push him back, and Chris just goes with his both hands and moves the guy off to the side and puts him beside him. Like, no, you're not doing that. We're going. And then you could hear this guy on the TSN mic, I can't stop them. They're going. I can't stop them. So we all just ran out the tunnel, and all together as a team, it was the coolest moment of that game. Obviously, winning it was awesome too, but that was kind of like the foreshadowing of what was about to happen on the field.
Just that energy, that adrenaline.
Yeah, it was awesome. That's probably one of my favorite memories from the 2013 Grey Cup. Watching Chris Best move this TSN guy over, and then him, I can't stop them. They're going. He was so upset. It was great.
Once upon a time, I had to wear one of those TSN bibs on the field.
Oh, nice.
It was a weird, like, you guys are huge compared to me. Like, I'm 6'3", and I felt like a little guy, Yeah.
Well, I'm only 5'10", 5'9" and 3/4. But it's when you get out there amongst those big, tall guys, you can't be intimidated. You can't show weakness.
So what was your thinking? Strong core, come at them from below and kind of flip them
Yeah,
up
well,
over?
You ever see a doorstop, like one of those little door wedges, and how big that door is? I just thought, get leverage on these big guys, and you can stop them and block them. But, if I was standing straight up and down going in to block them, I'd be just thrown right over. And I'd have a lot of momentum to block some of those guys. The one guy I blocked, I still probably hurt from that one, was Cameron Wake. He did play for the Dolphins in the NFL. He's with somebody else now, but he was just a monster, just a freak of nature. And I had to come down and crack back block on him, run as hard as I could into this guy.
Crack back block?
So you line up as a slot receiver, and you're coming down towards the line of scrimmage, and he was playing D-end. So I had to come in and seal him on the edge so that our quarterback, Michael Bishop, could roll out. And I was running as hard as I could at this guy, and he caught me at the last second. Otherwise, he wouldn't have. I don't think you can do these blocks anymore. They're illegal. But I hit him as hard as I could, stopped him for a split second. He didn't even break stride. And I remember just looking back at Michael Bishop and yelling, "Hey, look out!" Like, because he was coming with the head of steam. It was the old lookout block, we call it.
Lookout block.
Yeah. So, but that guy, oh man, he was one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. He was unreal. And we had to put Gene Makowsky on him every game and just follow him around. And oh man, Gene was one of the best old linemen to ever play in the CFL, and he had a lot of issues with him. So he was that good.
And Gene is like a brick wall. Like,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
don't push Gene around.
Gene never used to have a neck back when he played. His head was just attached to his shoulders. Yeah.
That's cool. Now he's the minister of beer.
Yeah.
You get to bug him
I
a
wonder
little
if
bit
he
about
still
rebellion.
has the same duffel bag that he had when he played.
Does he?
I don't know. I wonder if he does, because he had this. It was a Molson Canadian duffel bag they got the first year, and it used to be blue and red. And Gene played for like 30 years. So his last year, he still had this duffel bag he would use every year. It was all sewn together with needles and thread. And at the end of his career, the bag was purple and orange. It was no longer blue and red. He's probably the cheapest guy I know.
Was it cheap or was it a good luck charm?
I actually think it was a superstition.
Superstition?
Yeah, I think it was Gene's just a traditional type guy. He needs to have that. Well, he'd always be in the film room every morning at 7:30, and I would meet him in there. I finally, just figured out, oh man, like, this guy's going in there that early. I better do it too. So I went in there and watched film with Gene, and actually learned a lot from him about just having a routine and some structure to your day. He was a pro. That's probably why he had the same duffel bag every year. He didn't want to change anything up.
Everything I've heard about Gene is that his work ethic is impeccable. He puts his nose down. It's not about ego. No. Like, he's focused on the team.
Absolutely. Yeah, he was a great teammate. Didn't say much, but when he did, you listened. He was also the only guy to go on road trips with $220 per diem and come back with $230. He was just I don't know how he did it.
Had his wife pack him a couple bologna sandwiches.
Yeah, probably. In his little duffel bag, I betcha.
So you're going to come out and eat some barbecue with us when we have the food trucks out at the tap room?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love
Prairie
to do
Smoke coming out, usually Thursday, Fridays.
Oh, nice.
I'd love to sit down, and I know Paul would just fall over himself, talk football with you.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. I'd love to sit down, have some barbecue and a beer.
That'd be great. Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. Anytime.
Rebels, thanks for tuning in this week. If you want to find the latest news about Rebellion Brewing, be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Untapped. As always, thank you for joining the Rebellion.